Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGregor Boxing Podcast. So, it's a difficult one, isn't it, really, where to start here with the Conor McGregor situation. Now, some people go, well, what's this got to do with boxing? Well, it's a fight sport. Obviously, we know, whether we like it or not, he's been involved in one of the biggest boxing fights of all time. And he's a huge star in the combat world, as we know. So I'm going to address it. And obviously he was always talking about coming back, fighting. And, talk about Mayweather, etc., rematch, Pacquiao. Obviously it's not good news, is it? But what's happened over the last week... But we have to address it, and we have to talk about where he goes from here, because it's a tough one, isn't it? Because you're looking at someone that was the biggest fighting combat star in the world. That's what you're looking at. 2016, 2017, he was untouchable. He's probably one of the most famous men in the world. Don't get me wrong, he's celebrity, he's still big, he's still a big star, but he's not that anymore, is he? Literally, he'd be mobbed wherever he went. It was pandemonium, and he backed it up. He's exciting, he was charismatic, he was cool, wasn't he? And he was winning. But somehow, these last 7 years have been a slow decline, to the point where he's almost unrecognisable now. The drugs, the drink, the womanising, the partying, the inactivity, the injuries. It's just a strange one. And when he did come back, he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights, hasn't he? He was unrecognisable against Dustin Poirier. He's not the same fighter. And now he's just talking about getting back after 3 years out. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And obviously, he'll be 37 next year. He's not going to be coming back till next year now. And you're not going to get better at 37, are you? So, he might have a farewell fight. That's what he might do. But he'll be out the ring for 4 years. Octagon for 4 years. And it's just sad to say what made him has also broke him. The Mayweather fight, earning 100 million back then, when he didn't need it. He didn't need that Mayweather fight, did he? He was a double champion. But he saw the money, he saw the attention, and that completely wiped out his hunger. He went over a year after that, didn't he? Without fighting in a Khabib fight. And he wasn't the same fighter in that fight, was he? He was partied out, he was drunk, he was drugged up. He was even drunk at the press conference, he was drinking. And this was one of the biggest fights of all time. Had he fought Khabib the 2016, he would have had a stronger chance. I think Khabib was still favourite, but it would have been a far more competitive fight. The McGregor that fought Alvarez would have given Khabib problems, no question. I think he would have defended the takedown better, he would have buzzed Khabib far harder, far quicker. He would have caused Khabib problems. And this was a Khabib that before fighting McGregor had problems with Al Quinte. So, go figure. But obviously, Khabib was training like a demon. McGregor was partying. And he got completely dismantled against Khabib. As many predicted. It was not McGregor that won the title in 2016. Or even 2015 against Aldo. Somewhere along the line he lost that focus. You watch how he speaks, even slurry, muddled, aggressive, loud. He was calm and stoic and clear, wasn't he, back in the day? Spoke with total certainty and confidence. And was generally polite. And he didn't, trash talking before the fight. But generally he spoke a lot of wisdom and facts. Now he just rants. And he always looks like he's coked out or drunk. And it's just the money. But what's surprising for me is the UFC still look like they're sticking with him. His wife still looks like she's sticking with him. These are things that are major issues for me, because ultimately, whether we like it or not, he's been convicted of rape in a civil court. Now, it's not criminal court, which would be a whole different ball game, but there's enough fire out there to convict him. Now, I'm not convinced, by the way. I still think there's a lot of muddled water in this, and he's going to appeal it. And I think the fact that there was 8 females out of 12 as jury, I think the fact that there's a lot of evidence against the woman, the fact that her story seems very muddled, this isn't a clear cut, and I'm not going to call McGregor a rapist right now, but it's not good. It's still not good being accused and being found guilty. And it seems like his wife's sticking by him. It seems like the UFC is sticking by him. He's a lucky man, because any other fight will be out the door. He's going to be hated in certain areas now for this, and he's no longer the pride of Ireland. A lot of Ireland now hate him. He's going to lose a lot of sponsorship deals. The only one he's probably going to keep is his whiskey deal, of course, proper whiskey, because he got such a huge stake in that. And then, of course, bare knuckle fighting. But besides that, he's going to lose a lot of deals. He won't be doing films for a long, long time now. Not until he clears his name, if he clears his name, which he says he's going to go after. And to be honest with you, forget the fighting. That's what he needs to spend his time and investment in now, clearing his name, because everything else will follow. But if he did do it, then he's a scumbag who should be locked up. So I think time will tell that. But I'm not convinced he did rape that woman, personally, until I see more evidence against him. And again, evidence for him. I'm sitting on the fence, but I don't want to judge right now. I know there's a lot of evidence that was overlooked in that case, which is wrong, which would have given him the advantage. So, but there's obviously evidence with her bruising. But again, there seems to be justifiable answers for each of them situations. The fact that she torpedo dived into a huge hot tub in the penthouse suite would have caused bruising. So, and ultimately, McGregor sort of dominant sex is not rape, as he stated. But listen, we're going to get to the bottom of it. There's going to be another court case for this. But ultimately, when it does happen, everything needs to be laid out on the table. And I mean everything. And only then can we get a clear cut. And like I say, if he's found guilty then he's a scumbag. He should not be competing again, ever. He should be locked up. But if he's found innocent, then that woman needs to pay. That woman needs to pay compensation, and she needs to look at jail time, because one of these two is lying, and one of these two is a wrong 'un, and one of these two needs to suffer the full brunt of the law. And it needs to be a criminal court hearing this time, not a civil, where it can be manipulated for and against. And obviously McGregor's lifestyle, the way he carries himself, the previous assault convictions, etc., etc., he's going to be prejudged, especially against women that aren't fight fans, that don't follow him, just look at him as his loud, brash ogre, so to speak. But getting back to his fighting career, it's sad, isn't it? I don't see him fighting again. I really don't now. He's saying he's going to 37 next year. His best days are behind him. And he's going to need a miracle to get back in the UFC. Even if it's a farewell fight against maybe a Diaz or, Michael Chandler, it's still going to be hard work for him. And he's not the elite anymore, is he? He's more of a sideshow. Which can he live with? And his pay. You have to wonder about his pay. That's going to probably more likely significantly reduce, despite probably the big pay-per-view numbers. He's not the draw he was. He's not the star he was. And boxing, well, again, who's going to really pay him after the whole Jake Paul fiasco? Unless he goes after Jake Paul, of course. People don't want non-boxers anymore being pay-per-view stars. Jake Paul, I think, has killed that off after this Tyson fight. They want proper fights now. But if he fought with Pacquiao with that draw numbers, if he fought Mayweather again with that draw numbers, it'd be a big payday. But I don't think it'd draw huge numbers anymore because we've seen it. We've seen McGregor in the ring. So if he goes after Jake Paul, that might be an option. That's probably the only option. But is McGregor going to do that when he's outweighed, outgunned, outsized? It's a sad decline. He had the world at his feet and he was on course to be one of the best ever. I mean, it's the biggest pay-per-view of all time. Double champ, first double champ in UFC history. Phenomenal skills. But the decline is evident. The McGregor that we knew and respected in 15 and 16 is long gone. And now we're left with a party boy, a druggie, a cocaine addict, and someone who cheats on his wife. And that's bad enough. And if he does get, criminally convicted of rape, then I'm sorry, his legacy's completely wiped out. But I want to see a criminal court hearing. Let's see what happens there. Let's see if he can defend his name. If he can, then maybe he's got one more payday left in him. And maybe he can restore his name, which is probably the biggest battle he's got so far. But right now it's shocking. It's shocking, it's sad, it's tragic almost. The similarities with Tyson is there now as well, isn't it? Losing it, money, drugs, women, getting out of control, no one telling him no. And this is the problem. This is what happens when you lose your guidance, when you lose Coach Kavanagh, when you lose someone who cares about you and keeps you active and busy fighting. When you lose that discipline, chaos ensues. And this is what's happened. McGregor's life's in chaos. And we don't know where it's going to go from now. I only hope it doesn't end in tragedy. His wife looks like he's staying by his side, which is a very lucky man, because I tell you what, if he lost his wife, then I would fear for him big time. Fear for him big time, being locked up, or even, trying to take his own life. But she still seems there. Unbelievable. The UFC still seem there. And that's probably his anchor, which he's clinging on to right now. But he needs to clear his name. And if he doesn't, then I'm sorry, he's ruined. So the next 2 years are critical for McGregor. Clear his name. And then if he can do that, maybe one last big payday. One last big hurrah against an old star. Like an old OG. Not up and coming, because he's no longer the force. He's no longer going to be a champion. We need to get that out of the system now. But one big last pay-per-view against a Nate Diaz trilogy or a Chandler. That's his way out. But for now, he needs to clear his name. But what a sad decline. The world at his feet. Millions and millions of pounds. And he's losing it all, isn't he? And that's sad to see. A once great champion. Now, if he walked down the streets of Ireland, he'd probably get lynched, wouldn't he? Probably get petrol thrown over him. Bottles thrown at him. Abuse. So, it's sad to see. But, like I say, time will tell. If he is criminally convicted of this, then, like I say, he has everything coming towards him, because that's the worst of the worst. But let's see. Let's hold judgment like so many aren't doing, because this is a civil court case that was very, very, very muddy, very, 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 very dodgy in many ways, and very, very, very unclear. So let's get the criminal court and let's go from there. But either way, it's a sad decline. Drugs, drink, womanising. This is not the McGregor that made him great. Can he ever get it back? I don't think so. Are his fighting days over? I think so. Can he clear his name? That's the best he can hope for now, I think. All right, guys, I'm out. A sad boxing podcast, but a relevant one right now, making the worldwide news. I'll touch base soon, and obviously the media's going to have a field day of all this for the next week or month or so. Some will villainise him, some will defend him, but until we get another court case, a proper court hearing, unbiased court hearing, predetermined court hearing, then we can't make full judgment as far as I'm concerned. All right, guys, I'm out. I'll catch you soon on the next one.